Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's, was a high school dropout. He was afraid his success would convince teens to drop out of school, so at age 60, he went back and got his GED. Icelandic horses are not allowed to leave the country. If they do, they are banned from returning. This is because Iceland is an island, so they have limited diseases, and this is another measure to prevent it. Danny DeVito did the dub for his role as the titular character in The Lorax, 2012, in Russian, German, Italian, Catalan, and Castilian Spanish, despite not speaking any of those languages. Dogs and cats circle around before bedding down as a throwback to their wild ancestors. Their survival instincts provoked them to position themselves in the direction of the wind to pick up predator scents and choose the best angle for keeping an eye on the environment. A Japanese ice cream company created a commercial to publicly apologize about needing to raise the price of their ice cream bars for the first time in 25 years from 60 yen to 70 yen. Not all people have an internal monologue, and people with them typically have stronger mental visuals to accompany their verbal thoughts. Bill Nye, of Science Guy fame, invented a hydraulic component used on the 747 airliners and holds 3 patents for other inventions. ADHD doesn't always mean short attention span. Hyper-focusing on a task for hours on end is also a known symptom of ADHD, where the inability to stop is considered to be the problem. Disney uses a paint color called Go Away Green to camouflage and hide objects indoors in their theme parks. Every fall, Alaska's Katmai National Park hosts Fat Bear Week and crowns the park's fattest brown bear. The aim is to highlight the park and wildlife conservation. During solar eclipses, tree leaves act as pinhole cameras, resulting in trees casting crescent-shaped shadows on the ground. This effect puzzled Aristotle in the 4th century BC. The plans for Winston Churchill's state funeral had to be revised several times, because Churchill outlived several intended pallbearers. The parents of Simpsons creator, Matt Groening, were named Homer, Marge. He also had sisters named Lisa, Maggie, Patty. Serotonin, the neurotransmitter responsible for happiness, can be toxic. When injected into skin, it causes extreme pain and is a main ingredient of wasp venom. Grasshoppers are older than grass, having evolved roughly 250 million years ago. In State v. Linkhaw, the North Carolina Supreme Court reversed the conviction of a man who sang so badly in church that a jury had found him guilty of disturbing a religious congregation. Footage is called footage because film used to be measured in feet. Overmorrow is the English word for the day after tomorrow. The common theory is that it sounded too ancient, even for 16th century Middle English, and fell out of use. Growing almonds in California takes more than half of the commercial honeybees in the US, meaning they have to be temporarily shipped in from almost every other state. 10.4% of the world's population is either in a marriage/relationship with their second cousin or closer relative, or is the result of such a union. The last B-52s are projected to continue service until sometime in the 2050s, meaning the plane will have been in service for almost 100 years. A man was arrested in Japan for selling hacked Pokémon. The suspect had his computer seized by authorities, and police believe the man made up to the equivalent of $10,000 selling illegal Pokémon. The American Smarties candy received their namesake Smarties because the creator wanted to encourage people to pursue an education. In 2018, the US hit a record high of never married adults. 35% of Americans ages 25 to 50 had never been married, compared to 9% in 1970. The Brooklyn Dodgers name stems from a nickname given in the 1890s to people who, in a matter of life and death, had to evade railcars speeding down the streets. They were known as Trolley Dodgers. In World War I, Nobel Prize-winning physicist Marie Curie developed mobile X-ray stations to travel to the front lines and assist army surgeons in preventing amputations when limbs were still intact. It's estimated that over 1 million wounded soldiers were X-rayed with her units. Habsburg Emperor Joseph II tried to reform Austria into ideal enlightened state. He abolished serfdom, removed restrictions against Jews, gave religious freedom to Protestants and Orthodox, and tried to weaken power of Catholic Church. But as soon he died, all his reforms were abolished. Walt Disney accidentally kidnapped Richard Nixon by dispatching his monorail train before the Secret Service could get on. The agents ran after the train and attempted to jump on board, but the doors had already closed. Monorail pilot Bob Gurr was terrified. Nixon got a kick out of it. Mel Blanc, the voice of Bugs Bunny and hundreds more, started smoking at the age of 9, changed his last name from Blank to Blanc, survived a car accident resulting in a 2-week coma, recorded the Flintstones in a full body cast, and died only a year after recording Who Framed Roger Rabbit. There is a street that is split down the middle by the USA-Canadian border, aptly named Canusa Street. People who live in houses on the south side of the street are in the USA, and the north side, in Canada. Crossing the street requires having to report to the border crossing office. Elephants can hear through both their ears and feet. Through special fat pads called digital cushions, they can hear sounds other elephants vocalize below the range of human hearing from many miles away. This helps warn them of far-off danger, incoming floods, and rival elephants. Hall of Fame pitcher Lee Smith didn't play baseball until he was a junior in high school, only tried out to win a $10 bet, and only started pitching after his team's star pitcher was killed in a hunting accident. His first start was a no-hitter. Rod Serling, creator of The Twilight Zone, sold the series as a pure entertainment vehicle due to censorship he experienced with previous projects that would delve into controversial social/political issues. The Twilight Zone tackled the same issues but veiled in science fiction and fantasy. People keep finding meticulously crafted hollow dodecahedrons throughout Europe dating back to the Roman Empire, but historians have no idea what they're supposed to be used for as there's no historical record of them anywhere. Theories range from dice to knitting. Neanderthals, which were traditionally thought of as extremely primitive humans, are now believed to have been extremely intelligent, even comparable to the intelligence of modern humans. They used tools, had social structures, thrived in hostile environments, and lived long lives. Teeth are only able to experience one sensation, that being pain. When you eat or drink something too hot or too cold, or a dentist operates on your teeth, you will only experience pain because that is the only thing the nerves around your teeth respond to. When your immune system fights an infection, it cranks up the mutation rate during antibody production by a factor of 1 million, and then has them compete with each other. This natural selection process creates highly specific antibodies for the virus. The Driftless area is a rugged area of Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, and a minor part of Illinois that was completely missed by glaciers. It is roughly the size of West Virginia, and is home to huge bluffs, deep canyons, and rare species of plants found nowhere else. In the 1950s, the U.S. Air Force tried to design a cockpit to fit the average pilot's body. After measuring 4,000 pilots, they discovered that none of them came close to having an average body. This led to introduction of adjustable seats. During WW2, Ernest Hemingway used his fishing boat named after his ex-wife, Pilar, to hunt German U-boats in the Caribbean armed only with Thompson machine guns and hand grenades. He was given unlimited gasoline by the US government. That Japan burns a portion of its garbage and uses the resulting ash in land reclamation. As of 2012, Japan has created over 250 square kilometers, 96 square miles, of new land using this method. Tchaikovsky hated to conduct by his own admission. He became obsessed with the fear that his head was going to fall off while he conducted. In 1868, when Tchaikovsky conducted his own dances of the Hay Maidens, he held his head in place with his left hand while he conducted with his right. The sauna is such a deeply ingrained part of the Finnish culture that Finns will even build them in war. Custom dictates no titles or hierarchies are allowed in the sauna, including military ranks in saunas built and used by soldiers. Saffron, the world's costliest spice by weight, has been cultivated by humans for at least 3,500 years, and there are no known saffron plants in the wild. Scientists still disagree about which part of the world the plant originated. It takes 150,000 flowers to make 1 kilogram of saffron spice. There was an ape named Oliver who preferred walking upright. He was bald, freckled, showed sexual attraction towards humans, and even liked to pour himself a cup of brandy every night, while wearing a smoking jacket. Due to his human-like features and mannerisms, he was once believed to be a human Z. French astronomer and mathematician Urbain Le Verrier used observational data from Uranus to deduce the position of an unknown planet, which German astronomer Johann Gottfried Galle used to find Neptune, within 1 hour of searching, and within 1 degree of Verrier's prediction. Laminated safety glass was invented by chemist Edouard Benedictus after a lab accident in 1903. A glass flask coated with the plastic cellulose nitrate was dropped, shattering, but not breaking into pieces. In 1909 he filed a patent, after hearing of a car accident causing injury by glass debris. Between 1978 and 1980, Michel Lotito ate an entire Cessna 150 airplane piece by piece. He is estimated to have eaten 9 tons of metal over his lifetime, for which he was awarded a brass plaque by the Guinness Book of World Records. He also ate the award. Catherine de' Medici maintained 80 ladies-in-waiting, whom she allegedly used as tools to seduce courtiers for political ends. They were known as her flying squadron. She also used them as a court attraction. In 1577, she threw a banquet at which the food was served by topless women. Courtroom sketches became popular in the earlier 20th century due to a general prohibition of cameras in the courtroom. Artists are able to sketch scenes in just minutes, often from memory. Despite most courtrooms now allowing cameras, sketch art is still in demand today. A Roman day was always 12 hours long, regardless of the season. The time between sunrise and sunset was divided by 12 hours, same as with the time between sunset and sunrise. The hours were shorter in the winter and longer in the summer. Yuri Kondratyuk, Soviet pioneer of astronautics, while working in Siberia, built an enormous wooden grain elevator with a capacity of 13,000 tons without using any nails. Due to using such an unusual construction, he was arrested in suspicion of sabotage. The elevator stood till the 90s. Before he was caught, Charles Ponzi, the namesake of the Ponzi scheme, successfully sued a newspaper for libel and won $500,000 in damages after it suggested there was no way Ponzi could legally deliver such high returns in a short period of time. Frank Cannonball Richards, a carnival entertainer, is most famous for his act involved getting hit by a 104-pound cannonball from close range. He performed the act twice a day because more than that was too painful. Contrary to the publicized image of the upbeat patient joking with surgeons, Ronald Reagan lost half his blood and came within seconds of dying in 1981 when he was gunned down. His true condition was concealed from the public for nearly 30 years. During his lifetime, George Washington owned almost every group of dog currently recognized by the American Kennel Club. Many of his dogs had interesting names too, such as Madame Moose, Truelove, Tipsy, Mopsy, and Ragman. The most mass a planet can have is 10-13x the mass of Jupiter. After this point, its own sheer gravity begins to cause nuclear fusion and the body is classified as a brown dwarf, also called a failed star. In the 1930s, the US spent $5 million adjusted for inflation, to build massive car with the goal to cross Antarctica, only to discover upon arrival that the tires didn't work in the snow, and the whole thing was abandoned after 140 kilometers, driven in reverse. The soundtrack for the 2019 miniseries Chernobyl, which concerns the 1986 nuclear disaster, was composed by Hildur Guðnadóttir, who incorporated field recordings from a real power plant in Lithuania, capturing the sounds of pumps, reactors and turbines. In 2016, the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum in Hollywood paid $4.8 million for Marilyn Monroe's Happy Birthday, Mr. President dress that Monroe wore at JFK's 45th birthday celebration. The purchase cements it as one of the most expensive pieces of pop culture memorabilia of all time. In 1971, astronaut Alan Shepard hit 2 golf balls on the moon. He hit the first one into a crater, and claimed to have smashed the second one miles and miles and miles. However, recent research has shown that the first ball traveled 24 yards, 22 m, and the second ball only 40 yards, 37 m. A 2017 study by statistician Nathan Yao found the career divorce rates. Bartenders, flight attendants, massage therapists, and nurses had the highest at around 45 to 50%. Meanwhile, actuaries had the lowest at 17%, followed by software developers, engineers, scientists, and eye doctors. Phosphorus was discovered when alchemist Hennig Brand, who was experimenting with urine, attempted to create the fabled philosopher's stone through the distillation of some salts by evaporating urine, and in the process produced a white material that glowed in the dark and burned brilliantly. Whales spouting water out of blowholes is a common error propagated in children's books and movies. The whale would be drowning if it did so. A 2016 scientific survey of children's books featuring whales and cetaceans revealed 74/116 had factual errors, including almost half of the non-fiction.